Hi everybody, I'm Megan Trainer. I'm the certified athletic trainer for Rehab to Perform and contracted out to St. John's Catholic Prep. Today we're going to be talking about pre and post event nutrition and hydration. Being hydrated, getting a proper diet is going to help with recovery. Okay, so a lot of people don't think of that aspect and just eat whatever they can get their hands on. If you want to be a serious athlete, you really need to think about that part of nutrition and hydration. It's all going to help with recovery. Getting that proper sleep, proper nutrition, and proper hydration is key for proper and best training and best recovery. First thing we're going to talk about is we'll talk about the hydration part of it, and then we'll get into nutrition. So for hydration, obviously it's been super hot out lately. So we want to discuss this because there's a lot of confusion and misunderstanding when it comes to hydration. So pre-event hydration is very important. So when we're talking about pre-event, so before an event, whether it's practice or game, on the regular, when it's normal temperatures out, not 9,000 degrees outside, we're talking about drinking 24 ounces about 30 minutes before practice. Now, if you're preparing for a hot practice or a couple of days of hot practice, you need to be preparing for that weather 2 to 3 days before time. Everybody thinks, oh, maybe like earlier that day, maybe the night before. No, it's 2 to 3 days before that you need to start hydrating for it. With anything with hydration, water is always best. There's all kinds of sports drinks, Gatorade, Powerade, Pedialyte even has their own sports drinks now. There's all kinds out there, but water is best no matter what. When you have an event that's longer, if it's 60 to 90 minutes or like a football game that goes 3 hours long, you want to throw in some Pedialyte or Gatorade, Powerade, something with electrolytes in it to kind of facilitate that process and get those electrolytes back into the body. But I know from when I played sports that I was never a fan of drinking that kind of stuff while I was playing. So they do make, and I often carry, or in the med kits, there are what's called Medilites, which are little electrolyte tablets. Those can always help too if your child really doesn't like drinking Gatorade or Powerade during games, if it's a longer sport. If it's just an hour or two game, water is completely fine. But they need to be drinking every time they come out, ideally 8 ounces every 15 to 30 minutes. Now, that's not to say they get a timeout, they chug a bottle of water, okay? As your kids have probably found out, and as you have probably found out in your previous days, that chugging water when you're doing exercise generally tends to leading to throw up. Caffeinated beverages and sugar beforehand is really not good. One, it's a diuretic so that it will make you more dehydrated. So especially if it's gonna be a hot day, you're putting yourself behind even from the beginning. So if it's a long event like football, something is going to cause problems taking too much caffeine or soda beforehand. So when you're talking about post-exercise, you want to replace for every pound that you lose. Like if you're in real intense like preseason workout, you may want to weigh yourself pre and post practice. For every pound that you lose, you want to drink 24 ounces, okay? So that sounds like a lot. Obviously it's not in one sitting, but preferably the rest of that night if you can after practice, drinking for every pound that you lost, drinking that 24 ounces, okay? And then the nutrition obviously comes into play too with getting your protein, carbs, everything that you need to kind of replace everything in your body. We'll talk about that more in just a little bit. But water is always best, okay? One thing that's always my favorite that some kids look at me funny here for when, a lot of times some parents will know this, Pedialyte is my favorite, okay? So a lot of people stick to Gatorade or Powerade. I don't like the amount of sugar that it has. Granted, Pedialyte's not the greatest flavor in the world. I haven't tried their new Pedialyte Sport, but it's a Gatorade without all the sugar in it. So Pedialyte is really good for getting those electrolytes back. Now, when we talk about nutrition, so you're gonna eat 1 to 4 hours, depending on your body, before your event, whether it's practice or a game, okay? Obviously, the bigger meal you eat, you wanna back it up to be a little bit 2 to 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours before your event. Okay, if you're just having a smaller meal, it can be anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. But most sports, you're getting ready and out on the court or the field an hour before it starts anyways, or you're at least getting ready for it, so you can't really eat an hour before. But everybody, it just depends on your personal body. You have to kind of explore and test out things like what works best, especially if you have morning practices like a 7 a.m. football practice or 9 a.m. soccer practice. Some people, there are certain things that their body doesn't like to eat, and then they end up feeling kind of sick during practice, or you have to find that fine line between what really works for you as an individual or your son or daughter. Okay, but eating that main meal, mostly carbs, not as much protein, a little bit, but mostly carbs pre-event. Okay, anywhere from 2 to 4 hours is ideal. It can be 1 to 4. And then for after an event, you want to have something quick to get those carbs and protein back into you within 15 to 30 minutes after your event. Now this can be like a protein shake or protein bar or some kind of snack like that, peanut butter and crackers, something like that, to get some of those carbs back into you right after. And then you want to have a full meal anywhere like 2 hours after. So you need to get that full nutrition back into you, not just like hitting up McDonald's or going to Smoothie King and getting a smoothie and calling it good to go. Okay, you can do that immediately after for that short little 15 to 30 minute window, but then you want to have a full meal about 2 hours after. So if you have any further questions, comments, concerns, whatever it may be, comment down below or shoot us an email and we will get back to you, or if we need to discuss it further, we'll create another video.